Night still clung to the city as Dorian pored over the fragments of history scattered across his desk. Candles burned low, their wax pooling like melted bones. Scrolls lay open in every direction, each contradicting the last. Dates overlapped where they shouldn't. Entire reigns vanished only to reappear centuries later. Myths blended into chronologies that made no sense. It was as if someone had rewritten history again and again, until the original story was almost impossible to see. He rubbed exhaustion from his eyes, then noticed a faint carving along the margin of a brittle scroll. It was a scribe's desperate mark, etched deep into the parchment. "We are not the first." The word struck him like a blow. Not the first people. Not the first civilization. Not the first world. He reached for another scroll, then another, his hands moving with a new urgency. Layer by layer, a forgotten truth began to reveal itself. Beneath the myths of gods and heroes lay older stories, references to a world built on knowledge, not faith. A world devastated by something so catastrophic that even memory had collapsed. And then, it was real. Suddenly, the tremors that occasionally shook the city felt different. They were not random geological shifts. They were reminders. Dorian felt a cold certainty rise within him. Something beneath the mountain was awakening, not as a threat, but as a witness returning to claim the truth of its story. He gathered his notes, sealing them inside a leather satchel. He could no longer stay hidden among dusty scrolls. The world outside was changing, and he needed to see the source himself. As he left the library, a faint breeze stirred the night air. It carried not cold, but a strange warmth, like the breath of something stirring for the first time in ages. He stepped into the street, and though the city slept, he could feel unseen forces shifting all around him. The ground beneath his feet hummed with a quiet energy. Traveling north, he followed a narrow path across rugged hills. The land itself felt different. At one point he passed a dead, gnarled tree as he stepped by. A small branch of green leaves sprouted from its withered bark. The shift was subtle, but unmistakable. Reality was beginning to ripple. He tried to steady his nerves, but the pulse under the ground seemed to grow stronger the closer he came to the mountain. It felt like a call, a warning, and a memory all at once. He climbed the final ridge, and at last, an ancient archway emerged before him. Moss clung to its edges, but the symbols carved into it glowed with a gentle, pulsing light, as if greeting him. He raised a trembling hand and traced the markings. They responded with a soft hum, a vibration that resonated deep in his bones. Behind him, the wind stilled. Ahead, the mountain waited, and as Dorian stepped through the arch, he felt it a shift not of stone, but of destiny. He did not know that a warrior already walked deep within the mountain's core, drawn by the same ancient power. He did not know that Thalia, a seeker of forgotten magic, approached from the eastern slope, her own path converging with his. But the mountain knew. The three seekers were moving toward the same point, and history itself seemed to lean closer, holding its breath, waiting to witness what would come next. The story was finally ready to be told, and its first words were about to be spoken. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for the next chapter of this unfolding saga.